Is Polaroid launching a new camera? Let's talk about it. So, long story short, I want to say the answer is yes, just based off kind of what I've seen so far. So, if you want to go straight to the camera, go to the time on the screen below. Otherwise, stick around, I'll give you a little background, and then we'll jump to the camera. So, yesterday, I think, or what would be Saturday, Polaroid released two photos on its Instagram. So, this one on the left, and then this one on the right. So on the left, you see, two people handing a photo between each other, and then you see a guy taking a picture with a camera, but you don't see what the actual camera is. So that's why I initially thought that Polaroid would be releasing a new camera, because if it was just, the same old camera they already have, then they would have actually showed you a picture of it. So I was like, all right, cool. I think later that day, a timer came out where it was like 2 days until they announce the launch of whatever new product they're going to be selling. So I was like, all right, cool. Well, the internet be doing its thing, and I think we found what the new camera is going to be. So let's look at it. So this is what I think Polaroid's new camera is, something called the Polaroid Flip. So hopefully you guys appreciate me sharing this with you all. Polaroid may never send me a new product to test beforehand, but to be fair, it was found on the internet, so it's not like they told me and then I shared it. So Polaroid, if you find this before you actually release the launch, I would still like to be sent stuff to try out and test one day. But yeah, anyway guys, let's look at this camera. So there are a couple of reasons why I think this camera is the new camera. One of the main reasons is if you look at the strap here, it's that same reddish orangish color as what is in the Instagram story, like what the guy has around his neck. So that's kind of my main reason for thinking this is the camera. Also, I think this is like a pretty legit website. It's a Ukrainian website, but a legit website nonetheless. And so it would be strange and seem kind of extra for someone to design a whole fake new Polaroid camera and put it on this website. But yeah, like I said, this is what I think the new Polaroid camera is. So like the name implies, this is a flip type camera. So this is kind of reminiscent of some of the older Polaroid cameras that have that flip top. You can see here is where the flip top is, and we'll zoom in a second. But here you have the flash for the camera, and then this white part here flips all the way down and covers the front of the camera. So I do like the fact that this does come all the way down, because it allows for you to protect your lens and your viewfinder while you're traveling without having to have a case or a giant bag. So I do think that's pretty cool. Let's zoom in and actually look and get more detail. So if you look right here, it says sonar autofocus. So back in the day, sonar was a way they did autofocus. And so it's interesting that they brought this back. I've never used it, but they had it on cameras like the SX70 and some of the older flip top cameras. So I'm interested to see how it does now that they brought it back. And I'm also curious as to why they brought back sonar as opposed to just whatever they use for, say, the i2 camera. But supposedly this camera will have sonar autofocus. It also has something called 4 hyperfocal, or 4 times hyperfocal, which I think is 4 different types of autofocus. When we look at the box a bit more, you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. You've got the shutter button here. See if I can zoom back in. Here is where I think the sonar emits for the sonar autofocus to work. You got the viewfinder, and then it says the lens is a 94 to 109 millimeter. And then you got the film eject port. This is how you open the door, I'm assuming, for the film. And then I've heard this camera also comes in black, which if I was to get this camera, I would definitely get it in black. The black just seems more refined. The white almost makes the camera look like a toy. And I just noticed the camera, the viewfinder for your eye part, also has these little stripes, maybe, I guess is what I would call them. And I'm pretty sure that either the Gen 3 Now Plus or maybe the Gen 3 Now also has this on its eye, on their eye viewfinder. So that just leads me to think even more that this is a legit camera. If we just look at the front of the box here, actually we'll save that. There's a clear picture of the front of the box. Let's look at the side of the box. So on the side of the box, it gives you more details about this camera. So it uses Polaroid original frames, so just basically the standard Polaroid sizes or the Polaroid size film. And then here's what I'm talking about, where it says 4-zone autofocus. So it's got like a person, 2 people, a person by a tree. So I'm assuming that's like a distance or further out autofocus, and then a person closer to you and the tree closer to you. So I don't know if that's like a macro focus or just maybe something to give you bokeh. I'm curious to see what this last zone is. It looks like you can do double exposure. It has a self timer. So apparently there's going to be an app for it. It has some app control features. So it might be like the Now Plus, where it allows you to adjust more of the settings via the app. So that could be interesting. Like I said, it has that flip top, and based kind of on this drawing here, it does look like the flip top comes all the way down to cover the entire front portion of the camera, minus like the door and stuff. It has something called exposure feedback, which I would assume all cameras have some type of exposure feedback, but maybe I'm misunderstanding what that is. And then it says it has advanced sonar ranging, which is what I'm assuming helps with the autofocus. It does say that it uses both I-type film and the 600 film, and then the standard protect from heat, do not X-ray or CT scan. But yeah, that is the side of the box. And then let's look at kind of the front. So this is a clearer picture of the front and another side of the box. Here you can see the camera fully closed. And again, the flip up, flip down part is all the way down, covering the lens and the sonar and all that good stuff. And it has a USB-C port, which is always nice. And then here's just another clearer view of the stripes I was talking about for the eye viewfinder. And then yeah, I'm assuming that this camera comes with a pack of film. So there's that. You'll at least have something to kind of start with. And then we'll scroll down. There are a couple more pieces of information that you can get from this website. So it says, instant printing, no LCD touchscreen, which I wouldn't expect a Polaroid camera to have an LCD touchscreen or an LCD screen unless it was like a hybrid camera or something like that. So it says here the focal length is 94.17 to 106.99 millimeters, which is slightly different from, I think, was it the 94 to 109? So, sorry, zoomed out. 94 to 109. Not a huge difference. It could just be a typo on someone's part. This could be supposed to say, 109.99. But again, I don't think it's any major big deal. Yeah, it's a pretty standard. I say standard. It's a pretty standard Polaroid camera. No face focus or hot shoe or red eye removal, anything like that. It does come, like I said, with the USB Type-C charging port. The battery source is a lithium-ion internal battery. Weighs about 650 grams, and at least this camera here is in white. I think someone said this camera also comes in black. I probably said that, but I can't remember. But yeah, I think this camera also comes in black. And then it says what's included in the box. You get the Polaroid Flip camera, a standard 8-frame film pack, a neck strap, a quick start guide, and a safety and compliance leaflet. So someone mentioned that this camera might cost about $220, which is not cheap by any means. I would like to test this camera out, especially this sonar autofocus. I'm curious if it does better focusing than, say, the autofocus on the i2, but it's definitely an interesting camera. I'm glad that Polaroid is expanding and trying new things with the camera, because I feel like after a while you can only have so many like Polaroid Now type cameras. And so I'm interested to see how this does. I am curious as to why they are seemingly launching this camera so soon after the Gen 3 Now and Now Plus. I think it's been like less than 2 months since those cameras were announced. So I don't know if it has something to do with like the whole tariff situation. Not that America is the center of the universe, but I don't know like how much of the market of Polaroid cameras that are bought that we like own or take part of. So I wonder is it that, or I wonder is it just they were always planning to launch this camera shortly after the Gen 3s, and so this just happens to fall where it is. But yeah, I am definitely interested to see this camera. I think it's like 35 hours until they officially launch whatever the new product is. So we'll see if this is the actual camera. Yeah, hopefully it is. If not, I'll be definitely curious to see whatever the new product is. Yeah, so let me know what you guys think. Is this camera interesting to you? Did you like this new design? Do you think it looks cool? Does it look kind of toyish? Would you consider getting it? Is the $220 price point too high, too low? Let me know what you think in the comments below. And as always, until next time, keep practicing, keep having fun, and I'll see you in the next video.